This is Bishop Dr. Truman Burst. Master Herbalist, coming to you from Good Shepherd Ministries. Okay, let's see if that's set right. Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. That's great. Yeah, sorry about the delay anyway.
No problem. So how are you doing?
I'm doing great, my friend. I'm doing great.
Praise the Most High.
Yes, praise the Most High first and foremost on the Sabbath day.
Oh yeah, Shabbat Shalom.
Yes, Shabbat Shalom, brother. Shabbat Shalom. Well, I guess we can get right into it. All right?
Oh, okay. I probably should tell people who I am and what I do.
Absolutely, and you know, don't worry about anything here because I'm going to be able to cut and edit out whatever I need to, so we can just go with it.
Great, that's great. Okay, my name is Bishop Dr. Truman Burst. I am a graduate ethnobotanist and phytotherapist with 2 PhDs. I'm also a graduate master herbalist.
Yes.
And master herbologist and chartered herbalist, and also an ordained minister and a certified bishop. And what I've been doing for the past 53 years is creating natural remedies and praying with people, and because of my education in natural remedies and herbs, that's my gift from the Most High, is to know about these things, and I found early on what my true gift was with my education, to be able to create formulations of herbs that will be helpful with all types of conditions, whether it's allergies or alopecia or alcoholism or whatever it is, diabetes, heart disease, cancers. I don't claim cures. I don't do that. As a matter of fact, there's a disclaimer on all of my recipes, that that's what we do. We're very responsible about these kinds of things. So, we're trying to go along with the FDA's rules, but their rules are like Alice in Wonderland. Things aren't what they are what the FDA says they are. So when they called me up on the telephone to tell me that I shouldn't be manufacturing my natural remedies anymore, and I shouldn't be praying with people and then giving them herbs, because they consider that when I do that they consider those herbs to be drugs, and that I should sign an admission of guilt, and if I didn't do that, well, then they were going to destroy my herbal manufacturing, come to close it down, send in a swarm of FDA agents with guns and badges and destroy all of my work and like Nazis, put in a burn barrel and burn it, because I've watched them do this before.
Wow. Well, that sounds a little bit, like what they're doing, with the farming, with the farmers.
And this is, we've got our government is making some wrong choices in the first place. The FDA exists because of the pharmacies, because of the making of drugs, that poison people and that are not natural, nothing natural about them. And these poisons, these chemicals are poisoning people. And then they got to take this one and that one and the other one, and it's a yellow brick road to death. And that's what they've been doing this chemotherapy. They have to tell you that you have to take chemotherapy. And why? Not because it works, but because they make millions and billions of dollars by pushing that one chemical soup they call chemotherapy that poisons people to death. And if you would have not taken the chemotherapy, you probably would have gotten over the cancer in the first place. But if anybody realized how bad the medical doctors are and the terrible things that they do and on a daily basis, people would not go to medical doctors, and which is why a lot of people are not going to medical doctors. They much rather try a natural remedy. And if that works, fine. Well, if you have to go to the doctor, go to the doctor. And going to the doctor for tests is great, because then you can confirm what the diagnosis is, and then it's a good idea to use natural remedies, the kinds of remedies that God makes, not the kind of medicines that man makes, because they're poison chemicals.
Absolutely, yes. It's much better to find an alternative to what their solution would be.
Absolutely. So, anyway, what happened, Daniel, was they called me up on the telephone, and told me that I had to do this. So I said, let me call you back. Mm-hmm. And this was an FDA attorney from Washington, D.C. that I'm talking to.
Right.
And so I sued them. Well, it didn't take me long, Daniel, to run out of money, because it took me 3 months, and then I went ahead and lost everything, because I couldn't afford to keep up with the attorneys and all the paperwork that they were shoving through the courts. I mean, they had a whole bunch of attorneys and beating up on me, and here I am, a minister under a vow of poverty. It took me three months to run out of money. So I lost my home of 20 years, but I kept right on praying with people and helping people, even though I no longer owned my own remedies. What I did was I sold it all to my daughter. And then my daughter went in and changed all the names because we were under attack by the FDA. They didn't like the names of the formula. They didn't want you to say, this is a cancer formula, this is a diabetes formula. Oh, you can't do that. They said, we have rules. They have no laws. They have rules, and they make up all these rules like Alice in Wonderland. And so anyway, they said that that I had to sign that paper, but I sued them, and I ran out of money, and then when they realized that they didn't know that I sold the manufacturing and the website and all the products and recipes to my daughter, who then ran out of money trying to make all the changes. And she did. She changed every stock number. She changed we're talking about 14,000 natural remedies, and she changed all the stock numbers. She changed all the names and everything, so that so the cancer formula then became can-free. Okay. Well, that doesn't say cancer. That's not a drug. That's not a disease. It's can-free. So what? But they said, no, according to our rules, we don't accept that, and we call that misbranding, mislabeling, and you're guilty of that, and we'll fine you so much money you won't exist. And that's what they do. They bring in a horde of their agents, and they look over your shoulder for about 5 or 10 days, because they did this 6 months after, after I went to court with them finally, because when I lost, because I didn't have any money, that first case, when I sued them, I lost that case. So they knew I was out of money, so they sued me, which was no fair, because, I had no money. It was not needed, but they did it anyway. And they shoved a whole bunch more paperwork through the courts and sued me, and they won that case too. So then that was this started in 2011, October 2011. Then in 2012, they sued me, and then in 2013, September 24th, 2013, I was hauled into court for contempt of court by the FDA, and they had me in federal court, and I walked through that door, and I didn't know anybody there. I came there alone. And I looked over at the FDA attorney who flew in from Washington, D.C., so now I could put a face with all the evil deeds. He came over to shake my hand. I just turned around and walked away. I looked him right in the eyes, then I turned around and I walked away, and I did not shake his hand. Why should I shake the devil's hand? Well, that probably shook him up a little bit, because he knew I wasn't afraid of him, and I was just going to spit right in his eye. And
well, you know what? Here's what I wanted to say about that. You see, these people, they use intimidation and fear, on the public. That is how they get people to, do as they want. But someone like you, that's different. You're outspoken, and that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. That's a powerful thing.
Yes, the most important thing in my life is God, and God does all the healing. I make herbal remedies that comfort people, they help people, and then they come back to me and they tell me that, I don't have cancer anymore, I don't have diabetes anymore, and on and on and on, and that's not me who's done this. And I tell them all the glory and all the praise goes to the Most High. In the name of Jesus Christ, Yeshaya. And so that's, so anyway, and I have all these disclaimers saying that I'm not prescribing, I'm not diagnosing, but they ignore all of that hard work and all of the names where we changed everything and point by point, and by the time that my daughter finished doing that, in about 7 months, she was broke. So she sold it to my granddaughter. Here we have 3 generations of herbalists here.
Wow.
Myself, my daughter, my granddaughter. I'm pretty soon some of my 11 great grandchildren are going to be joining me as an herbalist.
Well, you see, they can't stop the Most High's work.
Well, they're trying to. They're
trying to.
And
just to point out something. These big pharmaceutical companies, they like to, like I said a little earlier, they try to use intimidation and fear on the people, and this is how they get, people in their system, and to be, taking the drugs that they offer. And who's to say that what they're giving these patients, something that's safe for them? Because if you look at, like for instance, if you go into like a doctor's office and you're sitting there, and usually they have a screen, TV where it's showing all these pills that people can take, but then again, you have all these side effects, from actually taking the pills, which are worse, than the sickness itself.
Exactly, because your body doesn't work with chemicals. Your body works with what the Lord made, and that's natural remedies. And as long as you know what the right natural remedy is, and you know how to take it, and how to take it in prayer, praising the Most High, that's that's when you're on when you're on the front page. You're right where you need to be, and using natural remedies, and that's why I've had so much success with it, is because I'm not telling people this herb is going to cure you. I'm saying that when you take this, this will comfort you, and when you're praying to the Heavenly Father, well, then that's what's he's in charge of the curing department.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he is, he's in charge, of life and death. It's
Precise. Yeah.
No healing is, is done only if the Most High allows it.
That's right.
Right. So that's where the real healing begins.
So anyway, so finally what happened, Daniel, was I walked into that courtroom and I faced down the FDA and the 6 agents behind him. I knew they were there to just crucify me. So I looked up to the judge there and didn't know that this judge was the chief federal judge of the Western United States. And I didn't know that she was the chief judge. I just thought she was a judge. I didn't know who she was. Anyway, I looked at her and she looked at me and she says, well, what's going on here? And I said, first of all, I apologize because I'm not an attorney. I can't afford one. And I don't understand court protocol, so I apologize to the court. She says, okay, let's find out what they want. And she looked over at the FDA attorney and said, what do you want? And he said, well, Truman has this website